Alright, I'm engaging wing lock.
Hi, it's 975 and welcome to Elite Dangerous on the Xbox One, and today I'm bringing you a full protracted wing fight. This was two Mambas versus two Mambas and a Cobra. So we had the advantage. It was me, Laurie and Al, and we had Al on our side, so he was in a Cobra. So we had 3 ships versus their 2 ships. However, they do get a reboot and repair off, so it kind of balances out. It's a pretty decent fight as it goes, and it's a nice showcase of different Mambas in action. There's 4 Mambas in the fight. There's a pulse missile Mamba courtesy of Laurie's build. She's using a really aggressive, nasty missile build, which will take your drives out very quickly. I'm obviously using a very niche and very weird and janky Ramba build that I use. That is very much a one-trick pony and spikes massive damage once in a while, but a lot of the time you're winging it around, trying to stay relevant in the fight, which is kind of weird. I do not recommend my build to people. In fact, I had someone ask me just the other day about it, and I was pointing them in the direction of my personal favourite, if I was building a Mamba from scratch, would be a more balanced build than mine, much faster than mine, much lighter than mine, with decent shields, and a 1 bank, with a chaff and a heatsink. That would be my personal preference if I was building one from the ground up. I have 2 Mambas. They are both on the absolute edges. I've got one that is super lightweight and stupidly fast, and one that is stupidly heavyweight and stupidly tanky. But I think something more sensible would be, I do personally like the 3 multi-cannon, 2 pacifier frag build, or if you've got them, 1 huge multi-cannon, 2 enforcers and the 2 pacifiers. I think that build's much better at staying in and around the fight and keeping more consistent damage going on. I also really like Frodo's Byweave Mamba with the thermal conduit beam laser, though that one's not for the faint-hearted, because at some point you are going to melt your FSD. So there is always the downside of using thermal conduit stuff. But his is an interesting build. It totally trolleys mine in 1v1s, but then Frodo is a much better pilot than me. In fact, most decent pilots will trolley mine in a 1v1. This is the way it goes. But my Ramba has a very specific niche purpose, and that is it's very good against a certain plasma ramming type of player. If you're a FDL pilot that likes the plasma ram, mine's a good counter for that, but it's a very specific counter, and it's also really good against big ships, because anything with frags is really good against big ships, because you're hitting all your pellets, and that's when you're doing good massive spikes of damage. But as it goes, the Mamba is an interesting ship because it is kind of noob friendly. It's you can there's a lot you can do with it, with the hard points the way they are. There's a lot of different builds. I've seen some just all multi-cannon variants. I've seen some crazy, like 3 multi-cannons, 2 railgun variants. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with a Mamba. As a base model to start with, it's an interesting ship. It's not as popular as the FDL, and it's probably objectively not as maneuverable, but I think at this point I prefer flying the Mamba. Even my chunky heavyweight build, I find maneuvers well enough for me, and I also just love smashing into things in a really ridiculously heavy ship and spiking massive damage. But even my ridiculous lightweight Mamba, I actually prefer flying that as in a flight model than I do to flying my beam de lance. I do like my beam de lance. I think the FDL is very good, but I just don't know. There's something about it. I don't particularly enjoy flying it for long periods. If I'm gonna go out of a wing and have an evening of fighting, I will probably these days take my Ramba as the first choice. It's one of them. If we massively outnumber the enemy, I'm reaching for my lightweight Mamba, because there's nothing better than for patrolling the edges of the battle and just making sure we make the most of the opportunities we have to kill people. That's what that ship's designed for. That's what that ship's built for, it's a bit horrible. But it's one of those things. Normally, if we're in like normal fun fights, I'll be in something fun and silly like my beam de lance or my Mamba. If we're in fights where we're trying to secure kills, then I may reach for my lightweight Mamba, because like it's got some horrible stuff going on with that ship, specifically designed to help us get kills. It's just mean. But overall, I kind of I like the fact that there is a lot of Mambas about now. It's making a lot of difference in, and I like the fact that we're moving away a little bit from the emissive missile builds, and we're seeing more and more different variety. I still think this current situation we have, where shield tanks are god, is a bit disappointing for the PvP community, and the fact that basically beyond Mambas and FDLs, it's a bit of a struggle. I mean, you do get the mine laying Cobra ships, and you do get a few outliers. You get the likes of heavy tanks still running hull tanks. You still get General Phoenix running his Challenger build. There are some outliers. There are some people having fun using different variety of ships. I see a lot more crate Phantoms than I used to, and there's a lot of those sort of bi-weave shielded builds. I personally, I know I'll get loads of people disagree with me in the comments, I always do, but I do think they struggle to hold up well in a good wing fight. If you're up against people who know what they're doing, they will come after you in those, because they can get at your modules quite easily, and the bi-weaves don't hold up to focused fire as well. But equally, my ship has limitations as well. I completely understand that. So some people get very defensive about their builds. It's not it's not impersonal. It's just, I personally think that if you're in a bi-weave build in a wing fight, you're taking a bigger risk. This is my personal opinion. But Vaz's bi-weave builds, he does perfectly fine in any type of fight with those things. He's able to get away with it. He knows what he's doing. So it is completely personal preference. It's completely up to you. I know Heroin Rob loves his Python and would happily choose that in a wing fight over anything else, but he admits he's a 1v1 specialist when it comes to that thing, and that's what he enjoys doing with those builds, is fighting 1v1, because that's where their edge lies. That's where they have the advantage. When it comes to wing fights, I personally think the advantage is with the things like the Mambas and the FDLs and the higher shield tanky builds, less reliant on shield regen and more just bringing max power at the start. That's my opinion. I'd love to know yours in the comments down below. I'd like to say GG to these guys. It was a really fun fight. I was a bit mean with my GGs, because I GG'd the first guy thinking that's it, he's on his way out, he's on 40% hull. And when he turned back round and went for the ram, I was like, oh, fair play. I did not expect that. And equally, I GG'd the second guy thinking he'd got out, and I didn't realise that his FSD had given up the ghost, and he was pretty much had no choice but to turn around. So they may have thought I was being sarcastic and horrible with my GGs. Honestly, I wasn't. I thought you guys were both going to get out. I noticed the next night when we fought one of them again, he did manage to get out when he should have done. But I was happily sticking in there, even though my shields went down, fighting it out, because when I turned back round, he never seemed to change focus and come after me, even though I was in the damaged ship with no shields. So I got away with it. But like here, yeah, I send the GG expecting, oh, that's that over with, not expecting what happened next. So I wasn't sending the GGs in a sarcastic way. They were actually meant as a good game, because this was a good wing fight. And I know we have the advantage with it being a 3v4, but there was enough fun going on, there was enough interest, and it was actually a lot closer than it looks. I nearly got mashed in this fight, but yeah, it was a good fun fight, and it's nice to see Laurie on. She really, I haven't seen a lot of her lately, so it was really good to wing up with her and have a decent fight. And yeah, Al had fun in his Cobra, not mining everyone, which was handy. He always brings mine layers to wing fights, but he didn't mine me this time, so I was alright with it. Anyway, that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I thought now the combat's over I can go for a cheeky reboot and repair.